In this video, we're going to be looking at the top 5 most asked questions for Planet Zoo. I've compiled all this information and these questions from my comment sections of all my Planet Zoo videos. I've also spoken to my fellow content creator Planet Zoo friends, and I've taken a look at all the relevant Planet Zoo Facebook groups as well as the Planet Zoo Reddit to come up with these top 5 most asked questions. This video will hopefully clarify some stuff for you and maybe answer some of the questions that you have. At number 5, we've got, will there be one more PC DLC released? We know that console has now been released and the DLCs for console, what we've already had on PC, are slowly being released for console. But does that mean the end of Planet Zoo PC version when it comes to DLCs and new animal packs? And also, furthermore, will we be getting a new game? Planet Coaster 2 maybe? A lot of speculation going around about that at the moment. Or maybe even Planet Zoo 2. At the time of making this video, the Planet Zoo Barnyard pack has been released a couple of months ago, so we're looking forward to maybe one more DLC, and I do really believe that there will be one more DLC. And the information what I've got for this is from a Frontier live stream called Frontier Unlocked, and it was one of the first ones they did when they brought up Planet Zoo, and they did mention that we will be getting one more DLC. Well, not the exact words, but they did say they are working on one more. They are working on something. So they're working on something for the PC version. That probably means one last DLC, but unfortunately I do think it will be the last one, and the reason for this is the need to concentrate on a new game. I do not think that the new game will be Planet Zoo 2, and I do truly believe that the new game will be Planet Coaster 2, or maybe something on the lines of a theme park kind of scenario. And it is just speculation, but there's a lot of it going around. If you follow other content creators, they have made speculation videos, a lot of them actually, for Planet Coaster 2. There's been files been found within games. There's been like business development plans and financial forecast what mention a new game coming from Frontier, and it's a simulation management game. So we can only put 2 and 2 together here and think about it being some kind of game like Planet Coaster 2. So to answer the question if there will be one more DLC for Planet Zoo, yes, I truly believe there will be, and I also truly believe that a new game is very close to being announced, so keep your eyes peeled. Away from speculation now, at number 4, with more practical advice, we've got guest view not satisfied. You will see it all the time that your guests are moaning, and even more moaning about the view of your animals, no matter where you put your viewing areas or how close to paths you arrange them. And I'm not even joking, your guest could be riding on top of one of your animals and they would still complain about the view. Obviously, it's very important to have many viewing areas of your habitats. You can achieve this by using a lot of the glass barriers or lower barriers so guests can see through or over them. You can even have viewing points what look down onto habitats, but your guests will still moan. My number 1 advice for this is do not worry. It's just a game mechanic what they seem to do all the time. It doesn't affect money, it doesn't affect your education as long as you've got education points in place, and it doesn't affect the overall rating of your zoo. For some reason, guests cannot be 100% satisfied. I've seen a lot of comments on Reddit and questions on Facebook groups regarding Planet Zoo and this question, and people worrying about it. Don't worry about it. There's much more bigger things to worry about within your zoos. And if you get fed up and you really want to give your guests the very up close and personal experience, just put in the code JHaltHusen, guest renames, press enter, and you can fly them into your habitats themselves. Can't really moan about the view now, can they, when they get eaten by a lion? Which brings us nicely onto question number 3, which is, does Planet Zoo have cheat codes? Is there any kind of codes you can enter what gives you more money or more conservation credits, or makes your job a little bit easier as a zookeeper and zoo owner? The short answer to this is no, unfortunately not. Well, not what any have been discovered anyway. But we do have codes what make the game a little bit more fun and little bits of kind of like Easter eggs what the developers have added. There's quite a few codes actually, and what I'll do is I'll leave a link in the description to all the codes what you can input in game to change certain elements. These are not beneficial elements, these are cosmetic elements mainly, just like you just seen if you put J. Holthusen as a rename of one of your guests, it will send your guest flying into the air like I've just demonstrated in point 4. There's other ones as well, what would give your animals big heads or change the colour of your animals, and even codes that will make your zookeepers dance. That's right, bit of a strange one, but I'm all here for it. At number 2, we've got the negative impact radius from staff facility buildings. You will notice if you place your staff facilities down and your guests try to walk past them, it will have a negative impact. This can be seen more clearly if you click bottom left onto the heat maps and then click on negative impacts on guests. You will see there is a radius created, this red zone, which will have a negative impact on your guest if they walk through the red zone. With this one, again, I really wouldn't worry. There's very obvious reasons to negate this and to get rid of this impact. You can see here that this leads just onto the path here, this red zone just there, because I've got it right next to the path. You just set it back a little bit and you won't reach the path. It's a very small radius, but what I like to do with all my staff facilities anyway is include them into a building like this, and when you start building around them like this, the negative radius of the facility will die down. It will narrow down and become much smaller. You can see I have got staff facilities here. If I just click on them and then go back on my heat map, you can see the radius of the negative impact is very much smaller, and it helps even more that this is inside of a building set away from our guest paths. Try to make sure you don't put your staff facilities right next to a habitat entrance gate or a guest path. Like, it wouldn't be a good idea if I had one in there, which I don't, because the guests will have to pass through that to be able to get through the inside of the habitat or around these paths here, and the negative impact will negatively impact them. So either set your guest facilities back from your paths or put them inside of buildings custom made by you with lovely items around them and walls and trees and stuff like that, which will reduce the negative radius and set them back even more away from your guest. It's only a little thing to keep in mind, but a lot of people do ask the question about the negative impact radius. Forget about it. Like I just said, use those tips what I've just showed you, setting it back or including it into a building and surrounding it by lovely walls and features and stuff like that, and you will never have a problem with it. You probably worry about it for the first zoo you ever make, but every other zoo after that you will get used to putting them back, setting them back and including them into your zoos without negatively, that's the word, impact your guest. And at number 1 of the currently most asked questions in Planet Zoo, it's a question what's actually been asked from everybody since launch, and that's help with franchise mode. Whether it be the massive question of how to actually start out in franchise mode and coming up with a plan and a layout to be successful, to how to then continue to succeed and manage your zoo efficiently within franchise mode. These questions have all been asked since launch, and they're still getting asked today. But luckily for everybody, and for you if you're watching and you are struggling in franchise mode, there are so many tips and so many tutorial videos on YouTube about franchise mode. And that's why, because everybody knows from the content creator's point of view, it's the most asked questions. Even me, I've got a starter tutorial and a layout, and then a secondary video what follows on from that on my channel, and it's 2 of my most successful views videos. And it was only yesterday from actually creating this video you're watching now where I actually saw someone asked if easy mode, medium mode or hard mode when playing franchise mode actually amounts to everything. I would honestly go with easy mode if you're first starting out, medium if you want like a smooth but challenging experience. Forget about hard mode with franchise mode. Franchise mode can be very difficult, or it can be very easy. It depends on how you start out. That's why I've got those layout tutorials, and other Planet Zoo content creators have like top 10 tips for franchise mode. It's all about how you start out. If you start off well, get the right animals in, make sure your cost of everything is low, only build the necessities first, and take things very slow. sit there on fast forward mode, let your conservation credits and your money build up, buy more animals, increase the size of your zoo, and there you go. That's the pretty much basics of how to create a successful zoo in franchise mode. I know that's very quick, but like I just said, there's plenty of tutorials out there. If you want a tutorial, then I will link it in the description down below. I was tossing and turning on this #1 position, from questions about franchise mode to actually questions about sandbox mode and how to gain inspiration. Luckily, I've got a video on that as well. I know a lot of people struggle when gaining inspiration and just looking at that open map and that open field and thinking, what the hell do I build, or how the hell do I start my entrance to my zoo? I've been there. I've struggled with that, and I've also struggled in the start with franchise mode. But once I learned the basic very tips of how to build stuff and how to take my time in franchise mode, it was so much easier from that point on. I actually thought about this and challenged myself to create a franchise mode zoo, start it off with only 1 habitat and 1 exhibit, and I was still successful. I was still managed to build enough money up from guests and education and throwing everything in there what I needed in there to be successful. And that was from 1 habitat with 2 animals in. They had babies, I sold them. You know the fundamentals of managing a zoo by now. It can be done. Just take things very slow and try to follow out a layout. Look on YouTube for tutorials, and that is for franchise mode in Planet Zoo. So that was the top 5 most asked questions for Planet Zoo. I hope while answering some of these questions, I've answered some of your questions. Hopefully you've learned some kind of tips and tricks along the way. If you did, and if this video was helpful and you like this video, then please hit that like button. And if you're new to my videos, I create all kinds of Planet Zoo videos, from speed builds to tutorial videos like you're watching now, so you might as well subscribe. My name's Adam. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will catch you in the next Planet Zoo video.